Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. There's a moment, sometimes quiet, sometimes loud, when you realize you've been living on autopilot, following a path someone else paved for you, doing what's expected, not what's true, smiling outside while struggling inside. If that sounds familiar, let this be your turning point. Because the truth is, you don't get to rehearse life. This is it. No retakes, no rewinds. And the longer you spend living someone else's version of your life, the further you drift from your own. Taking charge of your life doesn't mean having all the answers. It means having the courage to start asking the right questions. Who am I? What do I really want? And what's stopping me from going after it? It means letting go of excuses, breaking through fear, and reclaiming the pen to write your own story. Boldly, honestly, and with intention. You're not here to settle. You're here to rise, to create, to become. That starts the moment you decide enough is enough. That starts today. Today I'm going to show you how to reclaim your power, rewrite your story, and take full responsibility for creating a life you're proud of. Stay with me for the next few minutes as I walk you through the key principles that will help you finally take charge of your life. Let's dive in. Number 1, the journey shapes you. We often fixate on the end goal, the promotion, the house, the dream life, believing that getting there will finally make us happy, confident, or fulfilled. But here's the truth. The real reward is not just in achieving the dream. It's in who you become while chasing it. When you commit to a dream, a transformation begins. You face challenges you didn't expect, doubts you didn't know you had, and obstacles that force you to grow. That growth is not accidental. It's essential. The late nights, the setbacks, the moments of almost giving up, those are the chapters that shape your character. Because whether you hit the goal or not, you walk away changed. Stronger, wiser, more capable than ever before. Take Oprah Winfrey, for example. She didn't start as a media mogul. She grew up in poverty, survived abuse, and faced rejection early in her career. At one point, she was even told she was unfit for television. But the woman we see today, powerful, confident, and deeply influential, didn't emerge overnight. She was forged in the fire of the pursuit. Her journey molded her into someone who could handle the stage, the spotlight, and the responsibility that came with it. And the same can be true for you, even if your dream shifts or doesn't turn out exactly how you imagined. The process will leave you prepared for something greater. When you challenge yourself to grow, you become someone who can face life's uncertainties with strength. You'll trust yourself more. You'll speak up louder. You'll make bolder moves, not because you reached the dream, but because you grew into someone who no longer fears the climb. Don't wait until the finish line to feel proud of yourself. Take pride in the pursuit. Celebrate the small wins. Learn from the missteps. Keep going, knowing that every step forward is reshaping you from the inside out. This is how you take charge of your life, not by obsessing over where you're going, but by embracing who you're becoming along the way. Number 2, discover your true self. One of the greatest tragedies in life is spending years trying to become someone you're not. Too many people live their entire lives wearing masks, trying to fit in, to please others, to meet expectations that were never their own. But the moment you begin to discover who you truly are is the moment you start taking real control of your life. We are born with a unique combination of talents, passions, and perspectives. But somewhere along the way, many of us forget that. We're told who we should be, how we should act, and what we should want. And so we mold ourselves to match the world, slowly shrinking away from the person we were meant to become. But you can't live a powerful life while denying your true self. Discovering who you are is not a one-time event. It's a journey. It's about asking hard questions, facing uncomfortable truths, and listening to the quiet voice inside that's been buried under years of noise. Jim Carrey is a great example of someone who went through this journey. While the world knows him as one of the most successful comedic actors of his time, his personal story reveals much more than fame and fortune. Before the laughter, there was struggle. His family was homeless for a time, and he had to drop out of school to work. But through it all, Jim never lost touch with who he was, someone who could bring joy through expression. As he got older, Jim Carrey went even deeper. He started speaking publicly about self-discovery, consciousness, and how success means nothing if you're not aligned with your true self. He said, "I think everybody should get rich and famous and do everything they ever dreamed of so they can see that it's not the answer." That kind of wisdom comes only from someone who dared to look within. So what about you? Who are you when no one's watching? What excites you, fuels you, lights you up, and more importantly, what are you afraid to admit to yourself about the life you truly want? Start paying attention. Journal. Reflect. Try new things. Spend time alone, disconnect from the noise long enough to hear your own voice. You don't have to have all the answers today, but you owe it to yourself to start asking the right questions. Because until you discover who you really are, you'll keep chasing things that were never meant for you. And when you know yourself, really know yourself, that's when you begin to live with clarity, conviction, and courage. That's when you start to take charge of your life. Number 3, escape the comfort trap. Comfort feels good, it's familiar, safe, predictable, but here's the truth. Most people don't want to hear comfort is a trap. It convinces you to settle, to play small, to avoid risk. And before you know it, years pass, while your dreams sit on the shelf, untouched. Growth and comfort do not coexist. You cannot evolve while staying in the same patterns, places, or mindset that you've always known. To take charge of your life, you must be willing to let go of comfort and lean into discomfort, because that's where the growth lives. Leaving your comfort zone doesn't mean you need to make reckless decisions. It simply means choosing challenge over ease, progress over perfection, and action over excuses. The things that scare you, whether it's starting a business, speaking in public, leaving a toxic relationship, or applying for a job you feel unqualified for, those are the exact things that push you to become more than you thought you could be. Take the story of J.K. Rowling, for example. Before becoming one of the best-selling authors in history, she was living in near poverty, a single mother, battling depression, and relying on government assistance. She could have stayed hidden in survival mode, but instead, she chose to pursue the crazy, risky dream of writing a fantasy novel. She faced rejection after rejection. 12 publishers said no. 12 times she could have quit, but she didn't. And when a small publisher finally took a chance on Harry Potter, the rest became history. Rowling didn't just write a book. She rewrote her life, not because it was easy, but because she was willing to step beyond what was comfortable. She knew staying in her comfort zone wouldn't take her where she wanted to go. Most people are waiting to feel ready before they take a leap. But ready is a myth. You'll never feel fully prepared for the next level of your life. Growth requires action before you feel completely confident. Confidence doesn't come first. It's built along the way. And yes, it will be hard. You will stumble. You might fail. But those very moments of discomfort will become the foundation of your strength. Every time you stretch, your limits expand. Every time you choose courage over comfort, you get one step closer to your best self. So ask yourself this. What's one thing you've been putting off simply because it's uncomfortable? Now ask, what would your life look like if you faced it head on? You were not born to play small. You were not built for stagnation. You are meant to grow, evolve, and expand. And that only happens outside the borders of your comfort zone. Don't let comfort be the thing that costs you your potential. Escape the trap. Take the risk. Stretch. Fall. Get back up and rise. That's how you take charge of your life. Number 4, trust the whisper within. There's a voice inside you that knows the truth. It's quiet, persistent, and often drowned out by the noise of the world. It doesn't shout, it whispers. But if you listen closely, that whisper will guide you to the life you were meant to live. Most people ignore it. They trade intuition for logic, dreams for practicality, and passion for predictability. They ask others for directions, hoping someone else will tell them what's right. But no one knows your path better than you. You can gather advice, weigh options, and plan carefully. But in the end, your gut knows what your soul is craving. Trusting yourself means giving weight to your inner wisdom. It means listening to what feels right, not just what makes sense on paper. And that's not always easy, especially when your instincts lead you away from the crowd or the safe choice. Take Steve Jobs, for example. He was a college dropout, unsure of his future, but deeply in tune with his curiosity. Instead of following a conventional path, he sat in on a calligraphy class just because it fascinated him. Years later, that random decision became the reason Apple computers had beautifully designed fonts. At the time, no one could have predicted how it would matter. But Jobs trusted his inner pull, and it became part of Apple's iconic identity. He later said, "Have the courage to follow your heart and intuition." They somehow already know what you truly want to become. That's what it means to trust the whisper within. The problem is, society trains us to do the opposite. We're taught to follow the rules, stick to the plan, and do what's expected. But what if what's expected doesn't align with what's true for you? What if your dream doesn't make sense to anyone else, but it makes you come alive? That's when trust becomes vital. Because that whisper, it's your guide. It's not always convenient, and it won't always make sense, but it's yours. And it will never lead you astray. You may have moments of doubt. You'll be tempted to seek validation. You might question your path 100 times. But every time you choose to trust yourself, your self-belief grows stronger. So the next time your gut nudges you to speak up, to say no, to start something new, listen. That's your inner compass. Don't ignore it. You don't need everyone's approval to follow your path. You don't need a perfect plan. You just need a little courage, a little faith, and the willingness to believe that you already have what it takes. The world doesn't need more people who play it safe. It needs more people who are bold enough to trust themselves, to follow the whisper within. Because when you do that, you stop living on autopilot and start living on purpose. And that right there is how you begin to take charge of your life. Number 5, own your voice. There comes a point in life when you have to stop asking for permission to speak, to act, to dream, to be. Because the truth is, if you don't own your voice, someone else will speak for you. And they'll shape your life in ways that have nothing to do with who you truly are. Owning your voice means standing in your truth, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it goes against the crowd, even when it shakes your knees. It means speaking up for what you believe, honoring your perspective, and refusing to shrink yourself just to keep the peace. Many of us grow up learning to please, to keep things polite, smooth, and easy. We learn to silence ourselves to avoid judgment, conflict, or rejection. But over time, those small silences turn into a loud absence. You start to feel invisible in your own life, and that's no way to live. Take the story of Rosa Parks, for example. On December 1st, 1955, she did something quiet but revolutionary. She said no. She would not give up her seat on the bus. No, she would not be pushed to the back. That one act of courage wasn't loud. She didn't yell or fight. She simply owned her voice, her dignity, her truth. And that quiet resistance sparked a movement that changed history. Her power wasn't in her volume, it was in her conviction. Owning your voice doesn't mean you have to be the loudest person in the room. It means you speak with honesty and integrity. It means trusting your perspective, even when others disagree. And it means honoring your uniqueness, instead of trying to blend in. There will always be people who try to dim your light, people who tell you to tone it down, be realistic, or stay in your lane. But here's the thing, they don't get to write your story. That's your job. When you finally stop editing yourself to make others comfortable, you discover your real power. You stop living a filtered life and start living an authentic one. And authenticity attracts the right opportunities, the right people, and the right path. So how do you start owning your voice? You begin by being honest with yourself and with others. Say what you mean. Ask for what you need. Share your ideas, even if they're imperfect. Speak up when it matters, and most of all, stop apologizing for being who you are. You weren't born to be a copy of someone else. You weren't put here to play it safe or stay silent. You were born to stand out, to speak truth, and to make an impact in your own unique way. When you own your voice, you claim your space in the world. You stop whispering and start declaring who you are and what you stand for. And that's one of the boldest ways to take charge of your life. Number 6, integrity is the ultimate power. In a world that often rewards shortcuts, surface-level wins, and playing the game, integrity might not always seem like the fastest way to get ahead, but it is always the right way. Integrity is doing what's right even when no one is watching. It's keeping your word, staying true to your values, and making choices that align with your core, not just your convenience. When you operate from integrity, you build something far more powerful than temporary success. You build trust, and not just with others, with yourself. Every time you do the right thing, even when it's hard, you tell yourself, I can count on me. That quiet confidence becomes the foundation of every meaningful achievement in your life. One of the most powerful examples of integrity in action is Nelson Mandela. After spending 27 years in prison, he was finally released. Not bitter, not seeking revenge, but committed to healing a divided South Africa. He had every reason to hate, to retaliate, to use his newfound power to punish. But instead he chose unity. He chose peace. He chose integrity over ego. Mandela's strength didn't come from how loud he was or how hard he fought. It came from his unshakable commitment to what was right, even when it cost him his freedom. That kind of moral power is rare, but it's what truly transforms the world and the individual. In your own life, integrity will be tested constantly. You'll have chances to cut corners, break promises, or take the easy way out. You might think, it's just this once. No one will know, but you will know. And over time, those little moments add up to either a strong character or a shaky foundation. It might feel like integrity slows you down in a world that values speed and results. But in reality, it protects you, because the success you build without integrity will eventually collapse. But the life you build with it, that's unshakable. That's real power. So how do you strengthen integrity in your own life? Start with the small things. Keep your promises. Be honest, even when it's uncomfortable. Show up when you say you will. Speak the truth, even when your voice trembles. Let your actions match your words, not just in front of people, but when no one else is around. And here's the thing. Integrity doesn't make life easier. It makes you stronger. It gives you peace of mind, clarity of purpose, and the kind of self-respect that no amount of money or praise can buy. People will come and go. Opportunities will rise and fall. But your integrity, that's yours. No one can take it from you unless you give it away. So don't trade your values for validation. Don't sell your truth for temporary comfort. Stand tall in who you are, even when it costs you. Because when you live with integrity, you don't just take charge of your life, you own it with honor. Number 7, build a solid support system. No matter how driven, focused, or talented you are, you can't do life alone, at least not well. Behind every person who's achieved something meaningful, there's often a team, a friend, a mentor, or a community that helped them through the storms. That's why one of the most powerful things you can do to take charge of your life is to build a solid support system. A strong support system isn't just about having people around, it's about having the right people around. People who challenge you to grow, remind you of your worth when you forget, and hold you accountable when you want to quit. The truth is, who you surround yourself with influences everything: your energy, your mindset, your motivation, and your momentum. Think about Serena Williams, one of the most dominant athletes in the history of sports. Her story isn't just about natural talent or relentless training, it's also about her support system. From day one, her family, especially her father and sister Venus, believed in her potential. They coached her, trained with her, protected her, and pushed her. That support made all the difference. Serena still had to do the work, but she didn't have to do it alone. Too many people stay stuck because they're surrounded by negative, flaky, or unsupportive individuals, people who drain their energy instead of fueling it. If you're constantly around people who criticize your dreams, doubt your abilities, or dismiss your progress, it's only a matter of time before you start shrinking to fit their mindset. That's why you need to audit your circle. Ask yourself, who truly shows up for me? Who supports my growth, even when it makes them uncomfortable? Who challenges me with love, not judgment? Those are the people you want in your life. And sometimes, you have to make the hard choice to let go of people who aren't good for your growth, even if they've been in your life for years. Loyalty to dysfunction will keep you stuck. You don't have to be rude or harsh. Just choose to invest your time and energy into relationships that bring out the best in you. On the flip side, you also have to be the kind of person others can count on. Be consistent, be encouraging, be dependable. Support is a two-way street, and real growth happens in relationships that are built on trust, respect, and shared values. So if you want to go further, go together. Build your team, even if it starts with just one person. Join communities that align with your goals. Find mentors, accountability partners, or friends who see your greatness, even when you're struggling to see it yourself. Remember, you don't have to climb every mountain alone, and you shouldn't. Life becomes richer, lighter, and more powerful when you build with others who lift as they climb. That's how you take charge of your life, by choosing your people wisely and being the kind of person others can count on in return. Number 8, choose the right environment. Your environment is either feeding your growth or slowly draining your potential. And most people don't even realize it. You become like the energy you surround yourself with. The habits, conversations, attitudes, and standards of the people and places around you shape your mindset more than you might think. If you're constantly around negativity, gossip, excuses, or people who settle for average, you'll start to lower your own standards. Not because you want to, but because it's what feels normal. That's the silent danger of the wrong environment. It convinces you that smallness is safety, but the opposite is also true. When you place yourself in a high-energy, growth-focused environment, one where people are dreaming big, challenging themselves, and moving with purpose, you can't help but rise with them. One person who understood the power of environment deeply is Tony Robbins. He didn't come from wealth or privilege. In fact, his childhood was filled with hardship. But instead of letting that define him, he changed his environment. First mentally, then physically. He surrounded himself with books, tapes, mentors, and events that fueled his hunger for growth. Early in his journey, Tony became a student of Jim Rohn, a world-renowned motivational speaker and business philosopher. Being around that mindset, that wisdom, changed Tony's trajectory forever. He went from struggling young man to one of the most impactful self-help leaders of our time. And it all began with choosing a new environment. Here's the good news. You don't have to wait for the perfect situation to improve your surroundings. You can start right now by being intentional. Curate your environment like your future depends on it, because it does. That might mean joining a mastermind group, finding a mentor, switching friend circles, or even creating a positive space at home. It could mean spending less time around people who complain and more time around those who create. It might mean limiting your time on social media and instead listening to podcasts, reading books, or watching content that inspires and educates you. And if you're in a place right now where you feel trapped by your surroundings, maybe it's a toxic workplace, a draining relationship, or a stifling routine, remind yourself that while you may not be able to change everything overnight, you can take one step, one new choice, one new connection, one new boundary. The key is awareness. Start paying attention to how your environment affects your energy, your thoughts, and your behavior. If something pulls you down more than it lifts you up, it's time to make a shift. Taking charge of your life isn't just about internal work. It's about putting yourself in places that match the future you want to create. Your environment is either helping you grow or holding you back. Choose it wisely, because when you plant yourself in the right soil, your potential doesn't just survive, it thrives. Number 9, win the inner battle. The biggest battles you'll ever fight won't be out there in the world. They'll be inside your own mind. That voice that tells you you're not good enough, not ready, not capable. That's the real enemy. And if you don't learn to conquer it, no amount of external success will ever feel fulfilling. We all have two voices in our heads. One pushes us forward, the voice of belief, courage, and possibility. The other holds us back, the voice of fear, doubt, and insecurity. The one that wins is the one you feed the most. Winning the inner battle means becoming aware of your self-talk and taking responsibility for how you speak to yourself. It means not letting fear write your story. It means understanding that just because a thought enters your mind doesn't mean it's true. Take Michael Jordan, for example. Today, he's known as one of the greatest athletes of all time. But he wasn't always seen that way. In high school, he was cut from the varsity basketball team. Most people would have taken that as a sign they weren't good enough. But Jordan used it as fuel. Instead of listening to the voice of rejection, he built a new one. A voice of determination, confidence, and relentless belief in himself. That didn't happen by accident. It happened through intention. Jordan trained his body, yes, but he also trained his mind, and that's what made him unstoppable. You can do the same. Every time you doubt yourself, you have a choice. Will you accept that doubt, or will you challenge it? Will you let fear guide your decisions, or will you take action anyway? One powerful way to win the inner battle is to talk back to the negative voice. When it says, "You're not ready," respond with, "Maybe not, but I'm willing to learn." When it says you'll fail, say, "Even if I fall, I'll rise stronger." Over time, your mind starts to shift, and belief becomes your default. Another key is to stop comparing your journey to others. Your path is your own. What works for someone else might not work for you, and that's okay. What matters is that you keep showing up, keep growing, and keep trusting your process. The inner battle never fully goes away, but you can get stronger. And every time you choose faith over fear, you win a little more ground. You build mental muscles, you gain emotional resilience, and you begin to see just how powerful you really are. Taking charge of your life doesn't start with changing the world around you. It starts by changing the conversation within you. So guard your mind, choose your thoughts, and be your own loudest cheerleader. Because once you win the battle within, there's nothing and no one that can stop you on the outside. Number 10, take full responsibility. There is a moment in every person's life when they realize something powerful. No one is coming to save you. And while that might feel heavy at first, it's actually the most freeing truth you can embrace. Because when you stop waiting for someone else to fix things, to change your life, or to give you permission, you finally step into your power. Taking full responsibility means owning every part of your life, the good, the bad, the progress, and the pain. It's not about blaming yourself for everything that's happened. It's about refusing to be a victim of your circumstances. It's about saying, this is my life, and I get to choose where it goes from here. Too often, we give away our power without even realizing it. We blame the job, the boss, the economy, the past, or other people. And while those factors may influence us, they don't have to define us. There's a difference between what happens to you and what you choose to do with it. Look at Howard Schultz, the former CEO of Starbucks. He grew up in a housing project in Brooklyn, New York. His family had little money, and his father worked low-paying jobs with no benefits. It would have been easy for Schultz to say, this is my lot in life. But he didn't. He took responsibility for his future. He worked hard, got educated, and eventually bought a small coffee company, which he transformed into a global brand known around the world. Schultz didn't let his environment, his childhood, or his lack of privilege stop him. He didn't wait for perfect conditions. He created them. And that's what taking charge of your life is really about: creation over complaint. You don't control everything, but you always control your attitude, your effort, your reactions, and your choices. That's more power than most people realize. It starts with asking better questions. Instead of saying, why is this happening to me? Ask, what can I learn from this? Instead of thinking, I'm stuck, ask, what small step can I take today? These shifts in mindset open doors that blame keeps shut. Taking full responsibility also means being honest with yourself. Where are you holding yourself back? What habits or patterns are keeping you from growing? What excuses are you clinging to that need to be let go? And here's the truth. It's not easy. Responsibility isn't always comfortable. It's much easier to point fingers than it is to point the mirror. But the mirror is where change begins. So take the wheel. Own your story, the broken parts and the brilliant ones. Decide that from this moment forward, you will no longer wait for life to happen to you. You will make life happen through you. Because when you take full responsibility, you don't just take charge of your life, you take ownership of your future. And that's where real freedom begins. Number 11, believe it's possible. Every great achievement in history started the same way, with someone who believed it was possible. Before the action, before the success, before the spotlight, there was belief. The simple yet powerful idea that I can do this. And while it may sound basic, belief is often the line that separates those who try from those who transform. If you don't believe it's possible, you won't even start. And if you do start, the moment things get tough, you'll retreat. Not because you lack talent or opportunity, but because you didn't have the belief to hold on through the storm. One of the most iconic examples of belief-breaking barriers is the story of Roger Bannister. For decades, it was widely accepted, even by scientists, that it was physiologically impossible for a human being to run a mile in under 4 minutes. No one had done it. Everyone believed it couldn't be done. And then on May 6, 1954, Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile barrier. But here's what's even more remarkable. After Bannister proved it could be done, thousands of athletes followed in his footsteps. Within just a year, multiple runners broke the barrier that had once seemed unbreakable. What changed? Not the human body. The belief. The moment belief entered the equation, everything shifted. So ask yourself this: what invisible barrier are you treating as permanent? What dream, idea, or goal have you been holding back on because you secretly don't believe it's possible for you? You don't need to know exactly how your dream will unfold. You just need to believe that it can. That belief alone gives you the energy to start, the courage to continue, and the resilience to push through setbacks. Belief is not about blind optimism. It's about having the mindset that says, even if it hasn't been done by me yet, I know I can grow into the kind of person who can make it happen. That's the key. Seeing yourself as capable of becoming the person your dream requires. It's not about being unrealistic. It's about being unwilling to settle for less than you're capable of. The truth is, most people don't fail because they tried and lost. They fail because they never believed enough to give their full effort in the first place. So believe that your voice matters. Believe that your dreams were placed in your heart for a reason. Believe that you're not too old, too young, too late, or too far behind. Believe that your story isn't over. It's just getting started. Because once you believe something is possible, your actions begin to align with that belief. And when belief and action work together, anything can happen. That's how barriers break. That's how dreams begin. And that's how you take charge of your life, by first believing that it's possible. Number 12, rejection isn't the end. Rejection stings. Whether it's a job you didn't get, a dream that didn't work out, or someone who didn't believe in you, it hurts. And in that moment, it's easy to think, maybe I'm not good enough, maybe this isn't meant for me, but here's the truth. Rejection is not the end. It's a step, it's feedback, not failure. And if you handle it right, rejection can be one of your greatest teachers. Every successful person you admire has faced rejection. Not once, but repeatedly. What sets them apart isn't that they avoided rejection, it's that they refused to let it stop them. Take Walt Disney, for example. Today his name is synonymous with imagination, creativity, and empire building. But before the theme parks and the billion-dollar brand, Walt Disney was just a young man with big ideas and very little support. In fact, he was fired from one of his first jobs at a newspaper because he was told he lacked imagination and had no good ideas. Later, when trying to fund Disneyland, he was turned down by over 300 banks. 300. Most people would have quit after 10 rejections, maybe even after one. But Walt Disney kept going. Why? Because he believed in his vision more than he feared rejection. And that's what it takes. Rejection is not a stop sign, it's a redirection. Sometimes it's life's way of saying, not this way, try another. Other times, it's just part of the process. You're not being told no forever, you're being told not yet. It's important to understand that rejection doesn't define you. It doesn't mean you're not talented, capable, or worthy. All it means is that something, a job, a person, a path, didn't align at that moment. That's it. It's not a reflection of your value. What really matters is what you do after the rejection. Will you let it break your spirit or build your resilience? Will you let it silence your voice or sharpen your message? You have to develop thick skin and a soft heart, strong enough to take the hit and open enough to keep trying. Every time you push through rejection, you grow tougher, wiser, and closer to your breakthrough. So the next time you hear no, remind yourself, it's just part of the story. Let it fuel you. Let it guide you. Let it teach you what needs to be refined, improved, or redirected. But never let it convince you to quit. You only truly fail when you stop showing up. Taking charge of your life means learning how to take a hit and keep moving. Rejection might close one door, but it also forces you to find new ones, better ones. Stay persistent. Stay hungry. Keep knocking. Because behind every no is a future yes that can change everything. Number 13, reinvent yourself. Life rarely goes according to plan. Dreams shift, circumstances change, and sometimes you wake up and realize the path you're on no longer fits who you are. That's not failure. That's a signal. A sign that it's time to reinvent yourself. Reinvention doesn't mean you were wrong before. It means you've grown. It means you've learned. And it means you're ready to evolve into the next version of who you were always meant to become. The truth is, reinvention is not a weakness, it's a superpower. Look at Arnold Schwarzenegger. His journey is the definition of reinvention. He started as a bodybuilder in Austria, moved to America with barely any English, and became the greatest in his sport. Most people would have stopped there, but Arnold didn't. He became a Hollywood action star, despite being told his accent, name, and body were all wrong for film. And when he mastered that world, he reinvented himself again, stepping into politics and becoming the governor of California. 3 completely different careers. 3 industries that demand different skill sets, mindsets, and audiences. And yet, Arnold succeeded because he allowed himself to evolve. He didn't stay stuck in one identity. He didn't let the world box him in. He said yes to the next chapter. And so can you. Reinvention might mean changing careers, starting a business, moving to a new place, going back to school, or simply rethinking how you show up in the world. It can be big or small. It can be public or private. What matters is that you listen to the inner pull that says, there's more for me than this. But make no mistake, reinvention isn't always comfortable. It will require you to let go of familiar things, familiar titles, and even familiar people. It will challenge your ego and force you to confront what's no longer serving you. But the discomfort of reinvention is nothing compared to the pain of staying stuck in a life that no longer fits. You are not obligated to be who you were 5 years ago, or even 5 minutes ago. You have the right to grow, change, and reimagine your life as often as needed. This is your journey, and it's never too late to start a new chapter. So if you're feeling restless, unfulfilled, or boxed in, listen to that. Don't ignore it. That's your soul asking for expansion. It's a sign you're ready to become more. Reinvention isn't a reset, it's a rebirth. And every time you choose to pivot instead of quit, to evolve instead of stay small, you reclaim your power. Taking charge of your life means giving yourself permission to grow beyond who you've been, to let go of labels and lean into possibility, to rewrite your story, not because the old one was bad, but because the next one could be even better. Number 14, find your why. There's a difference between simply existing and truly living. Many people wake up every day, go through the motions, chase paychecks, meet deadlines, but inside they feel disconnected. They wonder, is this all there is? That question usually arises when you haven't connected with your why. The deeper reason behind everything you do, your why, is your purpose. It's what fuels you, guides your decisions, and gives your life direction. Without it, even success can feel empty. But when you discover your why, everything changes. Challenges become bearable. Goals feel meaningful. And life takes on a richness that can't be found in comfort or convenience. One of the most powerful examples of living with a clear why is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He didn't pursue fame or wealth. He pursued justice, equality, and love. His why was bigger than himself. It was rooted in a vision of a better world, one where all people would be treated equally. That deep sense of purpose gave him the strength to face death threats, imprisonment, criticism, and enormous pressure. And yet he kept going. Why? Because his mission mattered more than his comfort. Your why doesn't have to be world-changing on a global scale. It just has to be meaningful to you. Maybe your why is your family. Maybe it's helping others. Maybe it's creating art, telling stories, building a business, or uplifting your community. The size of the stage doesn't matter. The authenticity of the purpose does. When you're connected to your why, you become more resilient. You're less likely to give up when things get hard, because you're not just chasing a goal. You're following a calling. Your why keeps you anchored when doubt creeps in. It reminds you why you started and why you can't quit. So how do you find it? Start by paying attention to what moves you, what breaks your heart, what excites you, what problem would you love to solve, what legacy do you want to leave? Ask yourself these questions honestly, not based on what others expect, but based on what you value. It may take time. It may evolve. That's okay. Your purpose doesn't have to be a dramatic lightning bolt. Sometimes it's a quiet whisper that grows louder the more you listen. The key is to begin seeking it. Start where you are. Follow your curiosity and be open to what unfolds. Finding your why brings clarity. It brings focus. It helps you say no to what doesn't align and yes to what truly matters. And when you live from that place, that deep sense of intention, you stop chasing meaningless milestones and start building a life that actually fulfills you. Taking charge of your life means knowing why you're here and then living like it matters. Because it does. You do. And the world needs what you were born to give. Number 15, take the leap. At some point, the moment comes. The decision, the idea, the opportunity, the chance that could change everything. And right there, standing between you and the life you truly want, is a simple but terrifying choice. Do you leap, or do you stay where it's safe? Most people stay, not because they don't want more, but because they're afraid. Afraid of failing, of looking foolish, of losing control. But here's the truth. Everything you want, growth, purpose, impact, freedom, is on the other side of that leap. Taking the leap doesn't mean being reckless. It means being courageous. It means stepping into the unknown without having every answer, trusting that you'll figure it out along the way, because you will. You're more capable than you think. Look at Amelia Earhart, one of the most courageous women in history. In an era when women were told to stay small, quiet, and safe, she decided to fly. She became the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean. Not because it was easy or expected, but because she believed in possibility. She once said, "The most effective way to do it is to do it. That's it." You don't become ready before the leap. You become through the leap. It's easy to overthink, to stall, to wait for the perfect time. But perfection is an illusion. There will always be reasons to wait. And if you keep waiting, you'll miss your moment. Growth requires action, and action requires bravery. Taking the leap might mean starting your business, applying for that job, telling someone how you really feel, moving to a new city, writing the book, or walking away from something that's been holding you back. Yes, it's scary. Yes, you might fail. But what if you don't? What if it works? What if this is the beginning of something far greater than you ever imagined? Fear will always be a part of the process. But courage isn't the absence of fear. It's moving forward, despite it. And every time you choose courage, you build momentum. You stretch your comfort zone. You prove to yourself that you can trust your own strength. Taking the leap is not a one-time act. It's a mindset, a way of living, a willingness to say yes to your growth, even when it's uncomfortable. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to be willing to try, willing to grow, willing to believe in yourself. Even if your voice shakes and your knees tremble, this is your life. Don't spend it standing on the edge, wondering what could have been. Take the leap. Let the wings grow on the way down. Because when you do, you're not just chasing a dream. You're stepping into the bold, brave, and beautiful life that's been waiting for you all along. That's how you take charge of your life. Not by playing it safe, but by daring to leap. So here you are, at the end of this journey, but perhaps standing at the beginning of a brand new one. If there's one thing I hope you take away from all of this, it's this. You have more power than you realize. You are not stuck. You are not too late. You are not too broken or too far behind. You have everything within you right now to take charge of your life and create something meaningful, something bold, something yours. Maybe life hasn't gone the way you expected. Maybe you faced rejection, disappointment, failure, or fear. That's okay. You're human. And every chapter in your story, even the messy ones, have prepared you for this next step. You've just explored what it means to grow, to let go of comfort, to own your voice, to find your why, and to leap when it's scary. These aren't just ideas. They are actions, choices, decisions you can start making today. There's no perfect time to begin. Life will never pause long enough for everything to line up perfectly. The secret is, you don't wait for life to hand you your moment. You create it. You make the call. You set the boundary. You change the habit. You take the risk. And yes, it will be hard. Change is uncomfortable. Growth is challenging. But staying stuck, staying silent, staying small, that's even harder. That's the kind of regret that lingers. But not for you. Because now you know better. You've seen what's possible. You've felt the fire. And you've been reminded that greatness is already inside you, waiting to be unleashed. So take the leap. Have a tough conversation. Cut the noise. Dream louder. Start messy. Keep showing up. And most of all, stay connected to your why. Because that's what will carry you through when the path gets hard. Your life is a blank page. And from this moment forward, the pen is back in your hand. This is your time. This is your moment. Take charge of your life and write the story that only you can write.